Welcome to Tile Choices Podcast, the podcast where tile meets creativity and craftsmanship. Hosted by Bruno and Maria, we're diving into the world of tile, from the latest design trends and must-know installation tips to product insights and real-world experiences. Whether you're a DIYer, interior designer, or seasoned contractor, there's something here for everyone who loves transforming spaces one tile at a time. So grab your coffee, put on your headphones, and let's talk tile. Because at Tile Choices, it's more than a surface, it's a statement.
You know, I always say when you install tile, the first thing you got to think about is coverage. Without the right coverage, the whole job can, crumble, like biscotti left in milk too long.
That's such a vivid picture, Bruno. But you're absolutely right. When the thin set doesn't cover enough of the back of the tile, you're inviting trouble, cracking, popping, even entire tiles coming loose.
Exactly. The Tile Council of North America, they recommend 85% coverage for dry areas and 95% for wet areas. This isn't just a suggestion, eh? It's critical. But let me tell you, I've seen the consequences when someone doesn't follow it.
Ooh, the horror stories. Okay, spill. What's the worst case you've seen?
All right, so picture this. Rome, one of those old but elegant buildings, right? A contractor was rushing, probably thinking no one would notice, and used a trowel too small for the oversized tiles. I mean, I knew as soon as I saw it, the coverage wasn't even 70%.
Oof, that's bad. So what happened?
The whole bathroom floor failed, tiles coming up like slices of pizza. Water had seeped underneath, this was a wet area, and the adhesive just couldn't hold anymore. The client had to redo everything. It cost thousands more than if they'd just done it right the first time.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. And see, that's why proper coverage isn't just about, following the rules. It's about creating a solid, lasting foundation. Nobody wants to redo their tile every few years.
No, they don't. And here's the thing. If you can't get the coverage, it's often about using the wrong trowel. But we'll get into that in a minute. For now, just remember, skimping on that coverage, it's never worth it. Now, since we've talked about how critical coverage is, let's get into trowels. This choice, it can make or break your whole tile installation. You get the wrong size or shape, and suddenly your adhesive is uneven. Your tiles don't bond properly. I mean, I've seen it over and over.
Right, and it's not just about grabbing whatever trowel's lying around. It's about matching the trowel to, everything really. The size of the tile, the surface conditions, even the adhesive you're using.
Exactly. Like if you're working with smaller tiles, something like a 1/4 by 1/4 inch square notched trowel is perfect. But for larger format tiles, say 12 by 24, you're going to need at least a 1/2 inch square notched. Otherwise, you don't get the right coverage.
And with large tiles, you've got to factor in the flatness of the substrate, right? If it's not level, no amount of trowel size is going to save you.
That's true. The substrate surface is key. For uneven bases, sometimes you need a thicker adhesive layer, which means a bigger trowel. A 1/2 inch square notch tends to work wonders here. And, speaking of wonders, you remember that project I told you about? The one with the oversized tiles?
Oh, the residential one with the glossy porcelain? Yeah, I was dying to hear how that turned out.
All right, so here's the story. The homeowner picked these beautiful but massive 24 by 48 inch tiles. Gorgeous finish, but they were slightly warped. A bit of cupping. I knew we'd need a 1/2 inch square notch trowel to get the 95% coverage for that area. And Maria, let me tell you, it worked like magic.
See, I love that. It's such a good example of why, close enough just doesn't work. If you'd gone smaller, there might have been air pockets or worse, barely any adhesive contact.
Exactly. The risk of air pockets is huge. It weakens the bond and can lead to tiles cracking down the line. And get this, it wasn't just the size of the trowel. We used a U-notched one too, to help spread the adhesive more evenly across that slightly curved surface.
Oh, that's such a smart choice. The U-notch really does give a smoother spread, more even than a square notch sometimes, especially for warped tiles.
Mm-hmm. But you see, it's not always about rules. Sometimes you got to adapt to the tile type or the conditions. But following manufacturer guidelines, always a good place to start, eh?
Absolutely. Oh, and I love that you brought up those guidelines. It's such an overlooked resource. I mean, they know their product best, right? So why not take advantage?
Yeah, it's surprising how many people ignore that. Anyway, the right trowel, what it does is balance the adhesive amount, the coverage, and the bonding strength. If you get that part wrong, you're setting yourself up for failure. But get it right? A beautifully installed tile that lasts for decades. Now that we've covered why the right trowel choice is critical for a durable tile bond, let's take it a step further. This is where we really dig into the nitty-gritty, the expert tips for pairing trowel size with tile dimensions to make sure your installation is practically flawless.
Yes, and it's not just about choosing the right size in theory. You've got to think about the tile's shape, maybe even warpage or cupping. Oh, Bruno, I got to share this story.
Oh, is this the backsplash one?
Yes, exactly. So a few months ago, I was helping this couple choose a tile for their kitchen backsplash. They had fallen in love with these little hexagonal mosaics, but they were all different thicknesses. Beautiful, but, a bit tricky too.
Ha, mosaic tiles, always a challenge. What did you do?
Well, first I had to convince them not to use a huge trowel. They were eyeing a 1/4 by 3/8 inch square notch, thinking bigger meant better coverage, but for mosaics, it's too much. So we went with a 3/16 inch V-notch instead, perfect for those tiny tiles.
Smart choice. With those notches, the adhesive flows just enough without oozing between the tiles. But how did you handle the thickness differences?
That's where the magic of a float came in. After we pressed the tiles in, a gentle press with the float evened everything out. Oh, Bruno, it looked seamless. I was so proud.
Ha! I can picture it now. Well done, Maria. This is what I always tell people. Visual inspection can save your project. Embed the tile, lift it up, and check the coverage. I mean, you need 85% coverage in dry areas, but if it's wet or outdoors, 95%, no exceptions.
Exactly, and that's actually why I love tying it back to simple tools, like just lifting the tile to check. Honestly, it's such a small step, but it saves so much trouble later.
Right, and it also shows why trowel size isn't one size fits all. For larger formats, like say 16 by 16 or bigger, you're looking at a 1/2 by 1/2 inch square notched. And if the tile has warpage, you may even need to angle the trowel more to increase adhesive thickness.
Or use a U-notch. I mean, you already mentioned it earlier, but it's worth repeating. U-notch trowels are great for large or slightly curved tiles. They give such an even, smooth spread.
So true, Maria. And that's why adapting to the situation and testing as you go makes all the difference. When you see that full coverage, it's like chef's kiss, a perfect installation.
Couldn't agree more. And to anyone listening, remember, don't rush this. Take the time to match your trowel to the tile and to inspect. A little effort up front saves big headaches later.
Exactly. And with that, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about. Maria, it was a pleasure chatting and sharing tips as always.
Always, Bruno. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. Happy tiling.
Ciao, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Tile Choices Podcast, your go-to podcast for everything tile. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your fellow tile lovers. Got questions or a topic you'd like Bruno and Maria to cover? Visit us at tilechoices.com or connect with us on social media. Until next time, keep designing, keep dreaming, and remember, great spaces start from the ground up, one tile at a time.